Hey there, everybody. Kelly Woodhouse with Landing the Gig. And today, my special guest is Ken Krell. And the reason he's so special to me is because he was one of my coaches. So I signed up for his program to learn how to do 3-day events, and it was amazing. And honestly, it was the first time I made a six-figure income. And so I was so excited when Ken said yes, he wanted to be on Landing the Gig. So welcome, Ken.
Is that what I said? I thought you said do it or I'm going to blackmail you.
Oh, you probably did.
No, but it's great to be here, and it's true. Kelly did a six-figure uh, revenue stream off of what we did together, and I'm so excited and so proud of you. So you did remarkably well, and I'm taking full credit for it. By the way, it wasn't you, it was me. Just
I know, and I even had him speak at the my 3-day event, and then
right.
he tortured everybody until they actually bought the program. No.
Oh, oh, that's true. That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah. One of the things I love to do is like if you invite me to be on your stage, you can't pitch as hard as I can because it's your audience.
Yeah.
But you can always blame me by saying, "Hey, he went off the rails." Da 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 da. So I can say the stuff you can't say.
Right.
Um, so I did.
I know you did. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm sweating because because I know you're saying things that nobody else can say, right? And it was just it was so fun, right? I loved it when you were speaking because you could do that, right? And I think that's part of being a speaker is that sometimes speakers don't always have the confidence. They they kind of know it, but they don't have the confidence to say it. And that was what was beautiful about you is that you were able to pick out the things that are good about the speakers and say, "Hey, pay attention to this."
Yeah. Well, the thing is that when you're on stage, I think the first thing is to believe that the audience is on your side, that they don't want to see you fail, that they want to have a good experience.
Yeah.
And that means that you've got to be successful too. And if you have that attitude that you're in front of a group of friends, whether you're doing it digitally as we are doing now, or whether, which is what I've specialized in for so long, or whether you're in a room full of humans, at the end of the day, my mindset is I'm in a friendly place. Now, those that are doing corporate events where people are put in a room and they don't want to be there, a little bit of a
Yeah.
different energy. But if you still have the same attitude that you're there to give people value and you're opening up your heart, then everything else is superfluous, right? And you can say the things that need to be said because if you're sincere and you're coming from here, well, from here, from your heart,
Yeah.
then you have permission to do the things that maybe others are afraid to do. And if you're not even sure, then ask for permission. Is it okay if I'm brutally honest with you? Most people are going to say, yeah. Very few people will say no to that. And
I always have a hard time when speakers say, "Do you mind if I share with you?" Like it's like, well, what are we gonna say? Is anybody ever gonna say no? So like
you'd
I
be
hate it when
surprised.
speakers say that. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Well, but the thing about it is, if you want to think about it from our own comfort level, if you gave me permission, then I've got permission. I feel comfortable doing that rather than just jumping in to do that. It's a matter of earning the right. Um,
right.
it's like when you're going in to make your offer, and some people call it a pitch, I call it an invitation. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times you'll say, "Is it okay if I tell you more about what we're doing?" As opposed
Mm,
to, "Let me tell you what we're doing." And I take
mm,
that approach. Let me tell you what we're doing. There are those like my buddy Jason Fladlin will say, "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to teach you a little bit, and if I've earned the right, then I'm going to tell you about my program. Is that cool?" And they say yes. And then when it comes time to make the
mm.
pitch, it's like, "Okay, boys and girls, have I earned the right?" Yes, great. Here's the pitch. And he's pretty direct about that, which is also fine. I mean, the key is finding your own style, and
Yes.
owning that style and being your own style. I mean, I can't do you, you can't do me, but
Mm,
you're best doing who you are. And yeah, I mean, there's things you can emulate for sure, right?
yeah.
But the key is always going to be maintaining rather that authenticity so that you can't be replaced. You can't be
Mm,
um, cloned, because you have your own level of uniqueness. And that's what people are ultimately hiring if they want to put you on a stage. I
mm,
can't just shoehorn other people in. Kelly's got her own story. No one has her story. So don't
yeah.
don't use Kelly's story as your own, kind of thing.
Right.
You know, you've really got to own who you are. And if you're not sure who you are, then figure that out.
Yeah.
And most of us have been trying to figure that out our entire lives anyway. So even that journey is a story.
Yeah. I like how you talk about style because one of the things that you always did is called us boys and girls. Now,
Hmm.
you could get away with it. But I mean, like, if I did it or, other people did it, it would just be, that's just weird, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you got away with it. But that's all about the style, right? Like, that was your style.
Yeah, and I never really thought about it that way. And generally, these days, I'm the oldest person in the room. Although actually, in that group, I wasn't. There were people that were like 80, 90 years old
Yeah.
in that group. But yeah, I guess because I'm not coming from an attitude. I mean, I have an
Right.
attitude. The attitude is of helping and caring and giving,
Yeah.
rather than the attitude of being a dickhead,
Right.
and that's the key. There are those that really want to be full of themselves. I'm not. I mean, do we have an ego? Of course, we all have to have egos to be able to stay on stage and be able to risk fucking up anytime. That's a technical term. I mean, we've all had the disaster events. We've had disaster events where we've made no money,
Yeah.
where we've just failed. Maybe now the thing is, maybe you've changed lives along the way, which is great. But
Yeah.
if I remember, I was in St. Louis years ago and had trapped, this is a long time ago when I was visiting real estate investment groups and carrying boxes of cassettes. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to the airport with, cases of cassettes. And I remember I sold zero,
Oh
zero.
no.
It
Oh
was
no.
so, it was humiliating. And meanwhile, I mean, I don't remember whether the money was tight then or not, but it probably was. But even so, I just remember being at the top of the Gateway Arch, um, and I was like, I'm a complete failure. This is terrible. My life is over. And then you,
Yeah.
you look another day. But yeah, I mean, this is not the easiest business. It really does require a lot of strength and a lot of resilience to be able to get back up again after a disaster or a perceived disaster. Because think about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Was it a disaster, or in the scheme of life, was it just another, element of earning my stripes, getting stronger and
Yeah.
recognizing how to deal with adversity, recognizing that it's just another step along the way, and that I do have what it takes. And next,
Yeah.
for us to expect that every event's going to be a home run is colossally unrealistic. It's like,
Right.
who the hell are you? Everyone strikes out. Everyone strikes out.
Yeah.
And you think about it in every level of business, the best copywriters, the world's best copywriters, mess up more than they don't. If you take a look at the best infomercial producers, Guthrie
Yeah.
Renker, who's done billions of dollars in revenue. Greg Renker was on a podcast years ago. I probably even mentioned this, at the Pride event that you were at.
Yeah.
And he said he confessed that 75% of their infomercials fail. They have a
75%. Oh my gosh, that's
25%.
crazy.
Yeah. But think about it. And they'll spend, by the way, about $250,000 to produce those babies. So
Yeah,
they're putting a lot of
exactly.
money. But the ones that hit, they're doing hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, they're just,
Right.
that's the company behind Proactive and some of the Tony Robbins infomercials. So, they know their stuff, but it's a matter of that risk. So if you're going out with a presentation and it flops, learn from it and then adjust it to do it better next time. Don't do the
Right.
same thing over and over again, expecting it's going to be a success. Now, sometimes it's the audience. Sometimes you will, every now and then, have an
Yeah.
audience that is just completely the wrong audience.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, truly the wrong audience. I was in London a number of years ago, and it
Yeah.
was the wrong audience for the pitch. I knew it going in. We all knew it going in, but it had to be fulfilled. And I was the paid speaker. I got a fee to show up. I
Yeah.
went. Free trip to London. Yeah. Um, but the audience was not going to buy. We knew that right up front. So let it be okay. Enjoy the journey. If you like to speak, and if your speaking is something that you're passionate about, then be there for the audience, give them what they need, and see how it goes.
Yeah. So, I know you put on a lot of Pride events, and that was how I met you.
Yeah,
And so I know that, you and I were talking about it. You don't pay speakers. So
yeah,
you do a lot of like revenue share type
yeah,
deals. And I
yeah,
wanted to talk about that because a lot of people think that they have to be paid and that the only way they're going to speak is if they get a paid gig. And
Okay,
so
that is
I
the
know
dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard. Um, I'll give you a backstory to that, but first, when you talk about the Pride events, since we just finished like Pride Month, which is a different level of pride. Pride stands for Produced Ridiculously Irresistible Digital Events. There
yeah,
is a double entendre there, of course,
yeah,
but which I thought was hysterical. But that
yeah,
was what it was about. It was about really how to take typically a 3 day or 1 day online event and turn it into a giant profit center, which you did very, very well. And
yeah.
that was great. And we did that during COVID. Um, why do I not pay? Well, let me jump back to this part about paying speakers. Back in the day, I'm going to start dating
Yeah.
myself. Telegram, and everyone was on. I was on a Telegram call with I think it was with Danella Burnett, my producer, and
Yeah.
someone else. And there was someone that was talking about selling stuff on stage and how that was like the devil's task. Like that is horrible, horrible. Should never sell on stage. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Um, I'm very subtle, right? You are an absolute moron. Uh, because here's the thing, then the way I want to look at it. Number one, getting a paid speaking gig is harder than speaking for free,
Yeah,
right?
it
Just
is.
significantly, because a lot of people don't have
Absolutely.
budget, but they're okay with you selling stuff. The second piece of it is that if you're really good and you've got a great message and you don't offer them another way to continue with you, you're cheating people.
Yeah. You're being
You're cheating
selfish.
people. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Now,
Yeah.
by the way, FYI, today, I don't have a course to sell. I'm not in the game of training speakers any longer. So I'm like, oh shit, I got nothing to pitch. I don't. Today, it's like, oh shoot, what am I going to do? I'm not. I mean, I run a series of newsletters, and if you're
Mhm.
part of the LGBTQ community that wants to be a digital nomad, Pride
Yeah.
Nomad letter is what we're doing. And I'm launching other things that are related to loneliness, which actually wouldn't be bad for your audience because we get
Yeah.
all fucked up in our head after. So
We
that's called
do.
Alex Listens. Yeah. And you can talk to Alex, you can vent to Alex, and that's being launched right now at alexlistens.com. See how I slid that in so eloquently, right? But that wasn't my intention. But here's the thing. For those of you watching that are thinking that, yes, you need to be paid to show up, no, you don't. In
Mhm.
fact, you'll speak more when you speak for free. Now, as part of speaking for free, have a few caveats. Number one, be able to lead gen. So be able to offer a special report for free,
Mhm.
some kind of lead magnet so you can capture email addresses. A lot of people won't have a problem with that. If you speak for a chamber of commerce, they're not going to care, right? If you're on someone else's stage, likely they won't if you're speaking for free because you're speaking for free. Um, that's the first piece. Second thing
Mhm.
is make sure that people have an ability to do something else with you and again ask for permission. Is it
Yeah.
okay if I do my offer? Now, with me, pitch all you want because we're going to share revenue. When I
Yeah.
mentioned being in St. Louis, the deal was I was speaking at a real estate investment club and I had their platform. I spoke for
Yeah.
free and we would split sales. So I
Yeah.
was part of the revenue stream for showing up. And just when I had my own groups, I'd bring speakers in, they would pay their airfare, they'd pay their hotel, they'd pay everything. They'd
Yeah.
show up, we split revenue 50-50. It was awesome,
Yeah.
right? That model has always worked, still does, and you're crazy not to do it. Be available to do that, whatever you're pitching.
Mm.
I'm headed to Australia in a few weeks, and I'm looking to do as many chambers of commerce and other type of events for free because I want to get the
Mm.
word out for what our new product is, which can help a lot of people and save a lot of lives. So that's the key. Get people to know who you are.
Yeah.
And the backside of it is, unless you're an incredibly experienced speaker, you need to get yourself on a stage, whatever kind of stage it is, as often as you can, so you can feel comfortable with being on that stage.
Stage.
Because if you're fumbling and messing around and not sure of yourself, you're not going to
Yeah.
do very well. And we all have our Waterloos.
Yeah.
So, I didn't become, I'm going to say, I don't want to sound ego here, but I didn't become as smooth as I am overnight. This is
Right.
40 years being on stage,
Yeah.
and I still screw up. I still stay. See, I still, wow. I see, this is 40 years. Imagine, maybe another 10 years, I'll be good, right? So have the experience and have the comfort because here's the thing. the more experience you have, the more confidence you'll get knowing that you didn't
Mm.
die from the experience.
Right.
And so when things do get crazy and things do get well, you can go, well, that didn't work in front of your audience. And they'll be like, ha ha. And they love that. They love the
Yeah,
authenticity.
they
So
do.
I've told the story many times before.
Mm.
Um, I was speaking for Harbecker, and back in the day when Harv would do his Millionaire Mind events,
Yeah.
Harv would speak with a music stand in
Yeah.
the
I
middle.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was unprofessional and stupid and like know your call. Like I honestly, I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. But you know what? It's Harv stage. It's what he wants to do. Great. So I had my notes out. I was speaking. I think it was Denver or it was Denver or Fort Lauderdale. I forget which event. But I had like 500 people in the room, and my notebook's out. Pages are out
Yeah.
with all the notes. And I'm not exactly. I don't just stand there like this. I mean, I'm out. Hands are flaring.
Yeah.
So I made some point and went like this, hit the music stand.
Ah!
Pages are flying in the air. The audience gasps, and as the pages hit to the ground, look at the pages, I look at the audience, I look at the pages again. I go, bet you're glad that wasn't you. And they roared with laughter. It was like the elephant, I mean, how do you handle stuff when it happens, right? That's the mark of a professional. And it was like, what else are you going to do? And of course, that's what they were thinking. Holy shit, glad that wasn't me. I said, sit tight for a second. Let me get organized. I'll be right back. And they're like, dude, it was great. And we sold well. Why did we sell well? Because it was authentic. Because it was,
I've done that where I was on stage and I had a hot flash and I take off my jacket and I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a hot flash. And everybody roared, right? And I asked my friend, why are people laughing about that? Like I'm laughing too, right? And she goes, because you're authentic. A
yeah.
lot of people would be panicking because they're having a hot flash and they think people are seeing the sweat and everything. And here I'm willing to just put it out there. I'm having a hot flash.
You will sell better that way. We did day three. I'm not sure if you were at this event or you'd heard about it, but day three of our 3-day Pride event, the morning of day three is a really important, critical time. It's you're cementing the sale. You're doing what's called a heart close. You're getting intense. Well, day three of this particular event in the morning, my computer, God bless it, did not have a charge. Plugged in, would not charge. It was about to be a rock within 20 minutes. I mean, you could just see it failing. This is messed up. And everything I had was on the computer. It wasn't even like in a Google Drive somewhere to pull it out. I was in serious trouble.
And you probably had a couple people in the waiting room too, or
Oh, well,
on
no,
the
the,
Zoom call, right?
the show had already started. I mean, it was
Yeah, that's
it
what
was
I mean. You probably had people in the Zoom room and everything, and a whole
oh yeah,
team
it was
behind
all
you.
it was
Yeah, it's
happening.
a
It was
massive
happening.
production. Yeah.
So long story short, my team, between Casey, who was our event host, and Danella, who's running the event,
Yeah.
they danced a little bit. But remember, everyone's watching me, right?
Yeah.
How do you handle that? And I was annoyed, but it was like, okay, shit happens. And because it does, and I'm laughing because this is just so stupid. But here's the good news. Did you know that you could do Zoom from an iPhone? Oh, yes, you can. And that's what we did. We did the rest of that morning on my iPhone on Zoom. And it proved a couple things. Number one, you know, I'm confident, and
Yeah.
that's what was being taught, right? You don't let
Yeah.
anything stop you. Number two, even if technology fails in a lot of ways, guess what? You're still covered. You still got
Yeah.
a way to play. And, while it wasn't high tech, it was definitely high touch. And so
Mm.
it's all those things, and they don't happen overnight. There
Mm.
there are still listen, I don't know. I had someone in the audience once yell at me, say, "You're stop repeating yourself." I'm like, "Oh shit." I mean, when you get nervous, you can repeat yourself. Well, and someone in the audience will give you the gift of saying, "Shut up." I had someone else give me the gift of you say too much.
Right?
I do yeah, who knew? And someone
Who
tells
knew?
you until you watch yourself on video, then you want to throw up, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so speak for free. Don't be out there waiting for an honorarium because you're going to wait a long time. There's a lot of people out there that are significantly better than you with more experience that are in
Mm.
that game. So if you want to speak for free, have an offer that you can deliver to the audience, whether it's something that they can
Yeah.
either buy then or get on your list so that you can earn rapport with them. Here's another one that I'm doing right now. It's called the Daily Hug, dailyhug.com. And
Yeah.
the Daily Hug is a free newsletter, comes out every morning.
Yeah.
And it's an inspirational hug that you get every day. Now,
Right.
we're not selling anything in it. Nothing. Now, it's going to be part of the back end for our Alex Listens product, which is all about inspiration and stuff, but it's not being designed to sell. There's no advertising in it, nothing.
Yeah.
It's not making me any money at all, but it's
Right.
foundational to another thing that we're doing. I can go to any event and say, you want to get a daily hug? Go to dailyhug.com. Boom, you
Yeah.
know, and that there's nothing threatening to an event producer. There's no conflict there, you know. And once
Yeah.
you build that rapport and build your audience that starts to know you, like you, trust you, you're golden. So look at that
Amazing.
as being your business,
Love it.
if you um, even Les Brown, who's been a dear friend and he's been around forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Les will get paid to speak, but guess what? Les will also speak for free if he can sell his stuff. And trust me, Les can sell stuff. So so the key is that. So for joint ventures, because I want to circle back to that before we run out of time here, I do a lot of events or have done a lot of events with multiple speakers and we share revenue. I'm saying have done. I'm got another one coming up in a couple of weeks. I think about it with 12 speakers. Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that when you're running an event like that, you don't have to do that much work. Trust me, it's a lot of work, but you don't have to do the presentations. You can just be the host, which is what I've done multiple times. In fact, a lot of times I forget to even put my name on the website because it's like, oh shit, I'm not speaking. Yes, I am. I'm everywhere.
Right.
But but here's the thing. They get a platform, and everyone's
Mm-hmm.
promoting together, right? So it's all collaborative. But the key is that they had better promote. If they don't promote, they're kicked out because
Right.
that's how they better pay to be on the stage. Now, there's some people that will run events and summits and so on, and they charge speakers to show up, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I've never paid, nor do I ever plan to pay. Um, but they'll do that because they want the speakers to be serious because they've been burned a lot.
Right.
Get it? A lot of speakers will not promote. And for whatever reason, timing, you name it, there's all sorts of reasons. But if you perform, if you promote, if you do your best for someone, that's golden. If I know you promote and
Right.
you've done your best to get to be on my stage, you can go back again and again and again. It's not always about sales, it's about relationships, and that's critically important. And you
Right.
have to have your audience match. I mentioned this trip to London. The audience that I was in front of, we
Yeah.
were it was an Amazon product that we were selling back then. It wasn't my own product. I was a hired gun for somebody else. And the offer that we had was way too high a price, and they had already been pitched that a few weeks before. So they bought something for less money
Yeah.
already. We had something that they didn't care about, for more money. Why were we even there? I have not a clue. But
You
was
got
paid to show
paid.
up. I got paid. I got to see relatives. I stayed at the Sheraton on Hyde Park. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Hey, it was a good gig, right?
Right.
I'm never saying no to a trip to London. So, that was someone else's Waterloo, wasn't mine. Was there
Yeah.
ego involved? Sure, I wish I could have sold something, but guess what? I met some cool people, had some fun. Make sure that
Yeah.
the events you have fun,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and if you want to get booked more, you want to make love to the event promoter. And I don't mean physically, I mean figuratively. I mean anything you can do to help them, anything you can do to make their life easier,
Yeah.
make sure that they know you're there early, make for the
Yeah.
love of everything holy, show up early. If your speaking time is at 10
Yeah.
o'clock, be there at 9. You
Absolutely. Yeah.
do not, you wait to the last minute, I'm going to hate your ass. Because my
Yeah.
whole staff was nervous. Like, are they going to show up or are they not? Are they having technical problems? Did they forget? I've had events where
Yeah.
people have actually forgotten that they were supposed to speak. I kid you
I
not.
That's crazy. One of the things that I do is I always text the event planner when I'm on my way.
Yep. Yep.
Always.
Always. Let them
Always.
know.
And they're like, "Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks for letting me know." Right?
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
get there and stick around. If you're going to a physical event, stick around. Don't just
Yeah.
fly in, fly out.
Yeah.
That's the superstars like a Tony Robbins, that can pull that off. But with all due respect, we're not that important. I mean, and the speakers, here's something else to consider. The speakers that stick around will sell more for sure, but they enhance the experience for the event promoter. Now, maybe you can only stay for the day. Maybe you can only stay for a few after, for, for a few hours in the
Yeah.
afternoon because you got another place to be. That's fine. But don't just fly in, fly out because that almost demeans the event to me. I want the
Mm,
experience to be all encompassing. Stick around afterwards, talk to
yeah.
people, greet them at the door. You're not, even the most successful people will greet their audiences at the door. It
Yeah.
begins the process, it begins the
Mm,
relationship. And by the way, here's something, if you're nervous, if you greet people at the door, when you're then on the stage, you've got people that you already know that are friends you can look to, which will
yeah.
put you out of your nerves because you've already met someone and said hello to them and they're a friendly face. So it's a great strategy that can really serve you in
Yeah.
an emotional way to keep you grounded.
Well, and one of the things that I do, one of the reasons I like to stay there is because I see that conference as a networking opportunity.
Of
Because
course.
then, like there was times when I spoke in Minnesota, and then what happened was people were coming up to me after, right? Because like we had gone for lunch after I had spoken everything, and
Yeah,
then they were like, hey, like I loved your speech and whatever, and then I'd say, hey, can I get a testimonial from you? And then
sure.
I would do a little quick little video testimonial with them. um because sometimes people don't want to come up to you right after you speak, but if they see you throughout the day, then they'll come up to you, and so
And you're
that to
approachable.
me is networking.
Here's the other thing, Kelly, is that if you're still there, you get to meet the other speakers. And
Right.
guess what? There are other gigs that come from the other speakers because if they've seen you, for example,
Yeah.
then maybe they have something else that they need you for on their own platform, or they can recommend you to something else. So it's knowing those other speakers. And guess what? Having relationships with other speakers, they will tell you who's a good stage and who's not a good stage.
Yes.
We speakers talk about event producers and the event producers that will go, I have 600 people in the room and you end up with six. We know
Yeah.
those people. We know the people who will not pay us. We all that stuff. And there's those that we just will not work with because of relationships where they've screwed speakers before. So knowing
Right.
the other speakers will help protect you from potential problems in the future as well. So, if you're going to be in an event, be at an event and something else too. And I'm guilty of this. So I'm gonna, learn the lesson here as I speak it. Tom Beal has been around for a long, long time. He's been an internet marketing guy forever. Done a lot of consulting. He was like number two for Michael Same back in the
Yeah.
day. He's been around, done a lot of consulting work. So Tom was speaking at an event that I was emceeing in Daytona Beach of all places. It was kind of bizarre. It was a guerrilla marketing event, first of its kind.
Yeah.
And we were broadcasting. I was doing a live stream of it. Anyway, long story short, so Tom did his talk. And then he could have gone to his room and done whatever he did, which is what I would normally do. I'm like, I can't sit still. Tom sat his ass down in the back of the room and took notes on every other speaker. He was
Speaker.
not just a presenter, he was an attendee and a student as well. And
Right.
that's something that never left me. Same thing with Tony Robbins, by the way. When Tony Robbins,
Mm,
when I was in his platinum partnership years ago,
yeah.
Tony would bring in these guests, and I'd see him in the back of the room taking notes. And Tony like scribbles
Mm,
big, big, big. Everything with Tony's big, big, big. But he was there participating, taking notes as well. So
right.
don't be so full of yourself. And I'm telling you, I've done it this way. I've spoken, I've gotten the hell off the stage, out of the room because I can't sit still. Stop that shit, right? And, and be part of it because the audience is going to see you and they're
Yeah.
going to respect you more because you're still the student. It really puts you at a very, very high level of
Uh-huh.
integrity. And
Right.
I think that means a lot.
Okay, so one of the questions I always ask my guests, and I forgot to ask you, what are speakers doing wrong? Why are they not landing more gigs?
I'm going to say not enough oars in the water. In other words, they're not asking as enough. Number one, the more you
Yeah.
ask, the more chances you have of being yes. One of the ways to get on stage is to do what we're doing right now. Get on a podcast.
Yeah.
There are plenty of tools for being on podcasts, lots of them out there. And being on a podcast is a really important thing to do. Getting out on as many stages as you possibly can, and letting people know that you are available, that you do speak. What
Mm,
does your LinkedIn profile say? What does your Facebook profile say?
Right.
What does your website say? You should have a tab on your website that says for, speaking opportunities or, speaking, because if they don't know that you speak, they're not going to
Yeah.
book you. Try and
Yeah.
make this automatic in your email signature line,
Hmm.
book Kelly to speak type of thing, right?
Yep.
It should be, wow, I just focus in, focus out. Um, so, but let people know what you're doing, and you can do it easily. When I was last speaking at,
Yep.
that's he did that years ago when I was running my real estate column. It's like this is now 40 plus years ago. Um, I would talk in my real estate column about my clients in the
Hmm.
conversation. And guess what? People read it, said, "Oh, he has clients. I could be one of those." And it fed me for years, right? It
Nice.
was content marketing before it became content marketing, before it was a thing, right? And so the more you make it part of who you are, that I speak,
Hmm.
and I do consulting and so on, awesome, but most
Right.
people get too shy about it. So I'm going to say that that's the number one thing. And then, like we talked about at the very beginning, um, if you're holding yourself out that you only work for paid, for gigs with people who are paying you cash, with all due respect, you're an idiot. Don't.
I just love how blunt you are.
I mean,
And you get
what is
away
wrong
with
with you?
it. That's so funny. You get
Right,
away
right.
with it.
Yeah. I mean, you're a Looney Tune. You're crazy.
Yeah.
If you want to be a speaker, be a speaker.
Yeah.
If you want to be a whore, go get paid for something. You know what I mean? But and that was taking it a little bit too far. But the point is,
Right.
you want to be a speaker, be a speaker. You want to sell stuff? Great. You can still do it when you're speaking for free. You'll be on more
Right.
stages when you speak for free.
Yeah. You absolutely will. So, okay,
You know,
Ken, I want to be respectful of your time. And I can talk for hours if you like, but
you're a speaker. Of course you can. It's like never give anybody a microphone. It has been a pleasure, as always, to be in your company, young lady.
So, how can people work with you? Tell me how, or tell our audience how they can work with you and, all that good stuff.
I have a special offer just for you. No, I don't. I don't. Will I take consulting clients? Probably, if you have to ask, you probably can't afford me. I'm not looking for that business right now. I mean, if someone really wants me badly,
Yeah,
reach out at support at pride at seagrassmedia.com. I'm sure you'll have show notes and stuff. But I'm really not looking for that. I'm not running any more trainings like Pride or Safari any longer.
yeah,
I wouldn't say I'm retired. I'm not. I mean, but as a digital nomad, I'm running around the world. I mean, my newsletter, Pride Nomad letter, comes out every Tuesday.
yeah,
So I'm busy doing that every week. We have the active seniors letter that my mom is writing right now. We have
yeah,
uh, the daily hug that we're doing. And then we have Alex Listens. Now, the thing about Alex Listens that I think people should know about is that we created this digital companion that is designed to let you be seen. I created the Seen with Love Foundation because everyone needs to be seen with love. Most people are anonymous and they're not out there. When you have a bad day, you want someone to talk to. Now, after a while, people are tired of hearing you whine, but Alex never is tired. Alex is there at 3 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
yeah.
You can say anything you want to Alex. Alex is not a therapist, but he's been trained by therapists. So, and Alex, by the way, is what's the word? Non-binary. Alex is male or female, depending upon which way you want it to be, Alexandra or Alexander, either way.
Right,
Um, but we designed it to make life easier. So we're catering to seniors, veterans, the
yeah.
LGBTQ community, teenagers, indigenous communities. Shockingly, the um, suicide rate of Native Americans is 5 times the national average. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
it's pathetic. Yeah, it's shocking. So
Yeah.
to give someone a voice where they can
Mhm.
talk freely, confidentially, we believe will help a lot. Loneliness is a $400 billion plus economic loss to the US economy.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Well, think about it. Lost productivity, relationships
Yep,
that are messed up,
yep,
business relationships that are messed up. I mean, health issues and it's really bad.
yep.
And taking it just to the assisted living facilities, which is insane. We just finished doing a ton of research on that. I got a book coming out in the fall about that. I mean, they're in serious trouble because of loneliness issues and lack of compassion. So we added this piece it's AI, but guess what? It's
Mm.
fall in love with Alex. So
Right.
Alex alexlistens.com. You can get some details about that. That's the generic site. But again, we're taking it international. We're taking it to Australia, the UK. Alex speaks 60 different languages. So there's
That's
there's
awesome.
it's true. Yeah, and it is massive impact there. So that's really where my legacy is going to be. You're part of the
Right.
legacy. You're changing lives because of
Mm.
what you've been taught to do, which
Yep.
is kind of now we're taking that out to everybody in every possible way. So,
Right.
thanks for giving me the platform for that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. I loved it when you and I were coaching together and I still remember that one day it was like, okay, Cal, you are gonna make it. And this is what we're gonna do. And I showed you my program and you're like, no, you're not doing it this way.
Oh, I
You're doing it
remember
this
that.
way.
Oh my
Remember?
God. Oh my God, you were so messed up that day. And I mean, and we fixed it. And you went from
Yeah.
like what would have been a disaster to 100 grand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, whoever had structured things for you, oh my God, it would have been a ship crashing into the shore. So yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's why people need coaches. That's why people need someone to guide us. And we all
Exactly.
do. We all do
We all
because
do. Yeah.
the quotations like you can't read the label if you're inside the jar. Uh,
Yeah.
I know that in good things with AI now, you can ask AI, what are my blind spots? And AI will
Mhm.
typically tell you, but still AI is not enough.
Yeah.
AI does not give you everything. And I'm gonna get off track here and we gotta land the plane, but what I've discovered is AI can be a huge help. I mean, I use it to write
Yeah.
constantly. I mean, all day long and do a
Yeah.
lot of research, but it makes mistakes. It can take liberties, and frankly, what I look at it
Mm.
as an inspiration and a collaborator. I've come up with some incredible ideas that are my ideas, but inspired because of the conversation, the brainstorming. Because AI typically won't say no,
Right.
right? I'll say, please, please push back.
Yeah.
Um, when you're in a brainstorming session, in a mastermind session, then the key thing is to never say no. It's always be like improv. Yes, and,
Yeah.
yes, and. And
Yeah.
so the AI, for me, inspires me to be like, what else can we do? What else can we do? And then bam comes
Mhm.
an amazing idea.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
that's another
That's what I
conversation.
love about it too, is I find it's a great brainstorm tool is what it is,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah, I
what
think
I
so.
love about it, it's helped me to see things I never saw before.
100%.
And that's what I love about it. So,
Yeah,
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 it's been so much fun. So,
yeah. Thank you for having me.
you are
Um,
very welcome, and thank you for joining because, I love your energy, and that was actually one of the reasons I hired you as a coach, was because I didn't have the confidence to sell from stage, and I was always just doing keynotes, and it was like, nope, I only want paid, but I also didn't have a program then, and so
yeah,
that's part of it is you need a coach to help you to develop that program and to help you develop that confidence to be able to sell it. And
yeah.
I think
It's
that was the one thing that I loved about you is that it was all about the heart, right? Like there's some salespeople that are out there that are just sales, 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 and you gotta say this and it has to be this way and blah blah blah. But you were all about no, put your heart into it and
yeah,
tell those heartwarming stories and get your client to come and speak about working with you and that was so awesome. I mean, I had men crying on my stages because I helped them to write their book and become best-selling authors, right?
yeah. I mean, and yeah, and that you did really well with that too, because people needed to get their voice out. And the thing is that if you want to look past all of it, I looked at myself, and I may have said this on stage with you. I looked at myself as being like the upline at an MLM. You're my
Yeah.
downline, and your job is to change the lives of people down below you and their change their lives and change their lives. My job is to
Right,
train you to be able to be more powerful, right? And
right.
and that's the way I've always taught it. As you say all this, and thank you so much for the lovely words. It means a lot. And this is recorded, so I'll show it to my mom. So anytime she starts to judge me, I go, look what Kelly said, Mom. Um, it's funny when I think you were well, she came to every Pride event,
Yep.
but when she first came to the first event and she started seeing and hearing all the feedback, she was like, "Holy shit, you're really good." I'm like, "Uh-huh."
Uh-huh.
Um, it
Yeah,
was
yes,
was
I am, Mama.
it was a really cool experience. Um, but you're having me think about, should I be doing coaching again? No, I stopped doing it. But here's the thing, I want you to take some credit for this. This is really important for you to hear. Most of the people that came into my programs, and will come into anyone else's programs for that matter, do not do the work. Do not
Exactly.
do the work. And it was,
Exactly.
you did. You were one of the exceptions, one of the few exceptions. And this is not an indication of me. It's an indication, well, it is because I had probably the wrong audience, but most people that are coming into these rooms do not do the work. And a lot of speakers are fine. We'll just keep selling, selling, selling. I couldn't do that. So I stopped. It was like, this is dumb. Because at some point, it was like, how can I have a bunch of testimony? I've done this for years. Where's my testimonials? Because people weren't doing anything. And
Yeah.
that was, it was like, Kelly, could you talk again? Because like, well, isn't there anyone else? Well, no one's doing the damn work. That was frustrating to me. And I won't make up stories, I just won't do it. So that's why I remember my students that really have done, and there's those that
Yeah.
they'll do it, they'll get it right, and then they're gone because they got the lesson.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was a broke single mom
yeah,
when
that's
I
right.
came to you because COVID
Yeah,
had hit and I had
yeah,
three teenage kids living with me full time. And I'm like, what am I going to do if I can't speak on stage anymore? And that's what was happening. I didn't do any digital stuff until I met you. And then it
yeah,
was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to learn how to do this. And I think I know other speakers that when COVID hit, like he was another friend of mine, he's a safety speaker. Well, he lost everything for like 2 years.
yeah,
Fortunately, he was a good financial manager, but he had like nothing to pivot to. Whereas I at least had the book publishing to pivot to, and then, that's when I did really well.
yeah.
So,
You did, and I'm
yeah,
proud of you. That's
thank
you're
you.
the most people that actually did stuff rather
Yeah.
than most talking about stuff. That's the huge difference there, and that's the key to success. So, final words, because I gotta go too.
I know.
Uh, I know. I've got a few days before I head off to another trip. So it's just it never ends. It never ends. Listen, for those of you that are watching, the big lesson I want everyone to take away is stop talking and start speaking. And when I mean stop talking about doing it, just freaking do it.
Do it.
We had
Yeah.
a Ask Me Anything session last night for my subscribers on the Pride Nomad letter. I had one guy who's been wanting to travel. He'd been to Japan for the first time last year, or a year before. And it's like, oh, this is really cool. I've just gone for 10 days. I should do more. Where should I go? Where should I go? Where should I go? I'm like, get on a fucking airplane. You know, I mean, I'm honestly, I was like, go. But what about Go. Get on a damn plane and go. Worry about it later. What about visa time? You're fine. Go, for
Go.
heaven's sake. I mean, really, but everyone's stuck in this, let's stop mentally masturbating. Cut it out. Let's get moving. You
Yeah.
know, you you took action, you made money, you created successes, you created a six figure event for heaven's sakes. You did really well because you did it. And so for the
Yeah.
rest of you that are listening to this, watching this, it's like follow what Kelly teaches you, do what she's suggesting that you do, buy her programs. There we go. I got the pitch in for you. Right. But take action because
Yeah.
the more
Take action.
like you don't need to keep learning more. You need to be
Mm.
doing more,
Yeah.
you know. And I find it hard. I'll tell you, it's funny, Kelly, because I get all these emails and the worst buyers are the ones that are, they're salespeople because I want to buy, buy, buy. But I got to keep saying no because I will never watch a program again. I'm too busy doing other things. Any more information will diffuse my efforts. You know what I mean? If I want to learn
Mm.
something like if I need to learn some kind of coding or something, I'll learn that because it's
Mm.
specific. If I'm going to be in South America, I got to learn some Spanish. That would have been helpful in Colombia a few weeks ago. But but the point is, all this other stuff, turn those lights off, stay focused, and do
Mm.
something. Pick a lane and go down it. And then if you decide you don't like it, go do something else.
Think of
But
something else. Yeah.
stop,
Absolutely.
stop talking about it. I love you.
I love you too. Bye, Ken. Okay,
Bye,
there you
Kel.
go. There's another episode of Landing the Gig. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.